Hey, it's Chris here, and in this video I'm going to be in downtown Louisville, Kentucky. Louisville's known for the Louisville Slugger baseball bat, the Louisville Cardinals, Bourbon, the Kentucky Derby, Muhammed Ali, and many other things. Well, let's get to it. I visited Louisville, Kentucky on June 26th and 27th, 2021. Just for the record, I didn't see any cousins kissing each other and I didn't see anyone with missing teeth. Nonetheless, I split up the city and Jefferson County into 13 sections where I'll be able to show the entire city within a series of just over a dozen videos. In this series of videos, you'll see all of the good and all of the bad. So why not share a fifth of bourbon with your best bud or gal and come along to see the entire city of Louisville, Kentucky. After breaking up a fight between a local couple at one of the riverfront parks, I begin the video east of downtown. Pretty sure they were fighting over who got to smoke the last cigarette out of their 12-pack. Anywho, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to drop a like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, as doing all of those things helps these videos destroy the monster that is the YouTube algorithm. Also make sure to hit that notification bell so that you can be notified every time that I upload a new video. If you enjoyed this video, you might enjoy checking out some of the featured playlists on this channel. Videos on other places like what you see here can be found in my USA Medium-Sized Cities playlist, my Ohio River Cities playlist, or in my Kentucky playlist. Last but not least, if you can't get enough of me on here, you can always go follow me on my other social media accounts, and those links are below. On this side of town, you have a series of riverfront parks to the right. At one of the parks, you have a pedestrian bridge called the Big Four Bridge that goes across the river to Jeffersonville, Indiana. The Big Four Bridge was built in 1895 and stopped being used as a railroad in 1968. In 2014, it opened up for pedestrian use and provides a nice recreational option for both Louisville and Jeffersonville. On the other side of I-71 from the river parks is the new Lynn Family Stadium, which opened in 2020 with a seating capacity of 11,700. The stadium is home to the Louisville City FC Soccer Club, which competes in the USLC. The USLC is a Division II professional soccer league, and the stadium is also home to the Racing Louisville FC, which is a part of the National Women's Soccer League. Really quick, as I go back to talking about recreation, the city has a plan in place to currently complete a 100-mile walk/bike path network around the city that's called the Louisville Loop. The stretches of pedestrian paths along the riverfront that currently exist today are just a small portion of the larger project. To the left up ahead is the Louisville Slugger Field. The stadium opened in 2000 and can seat just over 13,000 fans. The stadium is home to the Cincinnati Reds AAA affiliate team, the Louisville Bats. Up until the opening of the Lynn Family Stadium in 2000, Louisville City FC played their home games at Louisville Slugger Field. Outside of the stadium is a statue of Pee Wee Reese, who made Louisville his home after a Hall of Fame MLB career. Since we don't come towards most of the important stuff until later in the video, I'll go ahead and share some of the city's stats. Before I do, I should say that in 2003, the city of Louisville merged with Jefferson County as a single government called the Louisville-Jefferson County Metro Government, or referred to by just about every local as Louisville Metro. It is one of the most complicated mergers to explain out of all U.S. cities. There are a few large cities nearby that have also annexed their entire counties, generally speaking, those cities being Indianapolis and Columbus. The way that it was done in those other cities is pretty straightforward. Louisville, not so much. I'll do my best to explain. The Louisville Metro government provides services for all municipalities within Jefferson County, including Louisville, so when the Louisville population gets counted today, you'll see an entry for Louisville/Jefferson County followed by the word balance in parentheses. That balance means all of Jefferson County, including the original boundaries of Louisville, but excluding all 83 separate municipalities that are located within Jefferson County. Most of those 83 separate municipalities are very small. Hopefully that makes sense. Anyway, up until the merger, the U.S. Census data showed population declines every 10 years for the city of Louisville. In 2019, the estimated balanced population of Louisville was estimated to be around 617,000, and the median household income was $53,000 per year. 16% of the residents live in poverty, and the median value of owner-occupied housing units is $158,000. When you look at the stats for Jefferson County, once you add the remaining 83 municipalities, you'll see that the stat averages for each county are just slightly higher than that of the Louisville balance. Niche.com ranks the public schools overall in Louisville as a B-, while both the violent and property crime rates within the city are about double the national average. Not the worst crime rates that we've seen for large cities in this country, but they're also not the best. Back to where we are, you can see that there have been and will continue to be plenty of places to shop and eat along this particular street. However, to the right is the KFC Yum Center, where the biggest concerts in town are held, along with being the home for the Louisville Cardinals men's and women's basketball teams. Directly on the opposite side of the multi-purpose arena is the Ohio River. Both the men's and women's teams have been among the more successful college basketball programs in recent memory. The KFC Yum Center was opened in 2010 and can seat over 22,000. Obviously, the arena is named after Kentucky Fried Chicken, along with the larger Yum brand, which operates KFC, Pizza Hut, Taco Bell, the Habit Burger Grill, and Wing Street. It is headquartered here in Louisville. To the left here is the Actors Theater of Louisville, which was founded in 1964 and is sometimes referred to as the State Theater of Kentucky. The theater sees around 150,000 visitors a year. To the right here is the Kentucky Center for the Performing Arts. The facility opened in 1983 and has 3 performance spaces, including Robert S. Whitney Hall, Moritz von Bamard Theater, and Boyd Martin Theater. To the left here is a 30-foot statue of David inspired by Michelangelo's 16th century statue of David, and has stood here at Main and 7th in downtown Louisville since 2011. We are now in a part of Louisville that's known as Museum Row. On the right, you have the Kentucky Museum of Arts and Crafts, the Kentucky Science Center, the National Society of the Sons of the American Revolution, and the Fraser History Museum. The district is highlighted, however, by the Louisville Slugger Museum and Factory on the left. The Louisville Slugger is known for its 135-year history of making baseball bats. Where the factory and museum sits today is at a site that was once a tobacco warehouse. I mean, we are in Kentucky. But after some renovations, the current site opened in 1996 and today sees over 300,000 visitors annually. Louisville Slugger bats were used by all kinds of Hall of Famers, dating back to Babe Ruth and as recent as Derek Jeter. The museum is on the bucket list for many baseball diehards across the United States. Inside the museum, you have many different baseball-themed exhibits, and you can get a factory tour to see how the bats are made. Louisville isn't necessarily known for its tall buildings, as here you can see the tallest building in the city on the right, which is 400 West Market. The building was completed in 1993 and is listed at 549 feet tall. The only other building over 500 feet tall in Louisville is the National City Tower, which is the black building that you see on the left. National City Tower was completed in 1972 and is 512 feet tall. Unlike with Cincinnati, which I made a video on recently, that city has several headquarters for Fortune 500 companies downtown. Louisville only has one, which also happens to be the only Fortune 500 headquarters for the entire Commonwealth of Kentucky, and that is Humana, which has its headquarters right here, on the left. The main entrance is actually off of Main Street, a block north, where we just were, but you can see the signage from Market Street. Other than that, there's not too many exciting things off of Market Street, as it's mostly other office buildings and hotels. Well, I guess we did just pass a historic landmark called the German Bank Building. Yeah, cool, neat. In all seriousness, the German Bank Building is also known by some as the Louisville Home Federal Building, and it was built in 1914. The name was changed during World War I to avoid association with Germany. However, today it's known for the most part as its original name. To the right is the Kentucky International Convention Center, which opened in 1977. At times, the center has hosted Louisville Cardinal basketball games, with most of that happening in the 90s. As there isn't too much to point out for a little bit, I'll mention the city's history. Louisville's history dates all the way back to 1778 when George Rodgers Clark came to the area. The name Louisville comes from King Louis XVI of France for his part in the Revolutionary War. The initial growth of Louisville was incredibly slow, but the steamboat industry helped the town grow substantially in the early 1800s. Louisville became an important place as factories and warehouses helped supply the military. After that came retailers and merchants. The main reason why Louisville is located where it is today is because of where it sat along the Ohio River, right by the Falls of the Ohio, which used to force river traffic to come to a halt. Today, Falls of the Ohio is an Indiana state park, but there used to be a small natural waterfall, or some would say rapids, as it was only a 26-foot drop in the river, but it stretched across the entire Ohio River at this point. That is until humans destroyed it with engineering to allow river traffic to flow more smoothly. Today, Falls of the Ohio State Park in Indiana appears to be just a flat limestone rock bed, but it features fossils from prehistoric times. Moving on to the 1850s, the Louisville and Nashville Railroad was completed and helped the town boost its economy even more. During World War II, Louisville was the world's largest producer of synthetic rubber. During the early 20th century, Louisville and the region surrounding Louisville to the south became known for producing bourbon and whiskey, which we can talk about later. As we approach the overpass, you'll be able to see a homeless camp. It's pretty hard to ignore. Louisville has seen a spike in the amount of homeless that reside in the city. Louisville is a city that I frequented in the late 2000s and in the early 2010s, and when I came here to film this video, I can say that I was stunned by the amount of homeless tents in the city. I don't recall seeing anything like it back when I was living not too far away, and it shouldn't be to my surprise that 10 years can change things. Not only the amount of tents, but also the amount of trash on some of the streets. In 2018, before the pandemic, an estimated 7,000 different homeless individuals were served in one way or another by Jefferson County. You can also probably expect that the pandemic added to those homeless numbers. As we head along Jefferson Street, you'll see that it's a lot like Market Street in a way, where there's mostly hotels and office buildings along the street. Towards the other side of downtown, you'll see some government buildings. Earlier, we saw the north side of the Kentucky International Convention Center, and here on the right you can see the south side of the facility. On the left here, I noticed this quirky signage on the front of the building. Name pronunciation of Louisville is a thing that locals take pretty seriously, but is also a thing that outsiders use to make fun of the city, as the way you would think to pronounce the name of the city isn't always the way that the locals would pronounce it, and it would sound silly to someone from somewhere far away, such as Boston. Common mispronunciations of Louisville are Louisville or Louisville. Earlier, I mentioned how the city has annexed the county and that the name of the government that serves the county is called Louisville Metro. To the right is the Louisville Metro Hall. Past that, also on the right, the building with the clock tower is the Louisville City Hall. You then have your local police department headquarters on the right, along with your courthouse and corrections facilities on the left. Most of the area within downtown, or the areas that I go in this video, is a part of the 40202 zip code. For this video I stayed north of Broadway, east of 9th Street, and west of Jackson Street, which generally speaking is close to the borders for the 40202 zip code. The population of downtown Louisville is 7,200, and the median household income is only $20,000 per year. Only 19% of adults 25 and older hold a bachelor's degree or higher, and the poverty rate is darn near 40%. With all of that, the median value of owner-occupied housing units is $321,000, which is well above the national average, and is double the average for the entire city of Louisville. The reasons for the incredibly low median household incomes in downtown Louisville and for the incredibly high poverty rates, my guess is mostly due to having the University of Louisville nearby. A large percentage of downtown Louisville residents are probably college students who aren't working and are living off of student loans. Data also shows that 93% of people who live in downtown Louisville are renters, so that shows why the value of housing units is so high compared to the actual income numbers, and it also shows that there are plenty of slumlords that own rental units in downtown Louisville. Along with all of that, there is also a good amount of Section 8 housing in downtown Louisville. There's a small area right here that has a few nice bars and restaurants as it's a part of the 4th Street Live area. We'll get a better view of it later in the video. 4th Street Live is an entertainment and retail complex off of 4th Street between Liberty and Muhammad Ali Boulevard, while Liberty is closed off to vehicle traffic along that block. It opened to the public in June of 2004, and the strategy was to attract more entertainment options for downtown Louisville. Off of this street, you can get a nice view of the Starks building. It's always a nice classic look when you see the names of the buildings on top of their respective towers, which Louisville has several of. The Starks building was built in 1913 at 202 feet tall, and a parking garage was added in 1953, which was the first parking garage in Louisville upon completion. In 2006, over half of the building was vacant, and as of the upload date of this video, the Starks building is completely vacant. However, a news article came out in January of 2021 by Louisville's Fox station WDRB, stating that the building's current owners are planning a renovation inside, which would allow for 260 new apartments, along with a handful of other amenities inside. Hopefully those plans can go through. With it being right in the area of 4th Street Live, I could see it being a desirable place for young professionals to rent. To the right, you'll be able to see the Louisville Gardens. The arena was built in 1905 and has hosted many things over the years, including being used as an armory, home to the American Basketball Association's Kentucky Colonels, who only existed from 67 to 76. Other things include wrestling events and concerts. One of the more memorable events here includes the Jackson 5 performing here while they were on the rise. I couldn't find much on what the plans are for the building moving forward, or if it's been used for anything in recent years, but it seems like a place that the community would want to restore and keep rather than tear down, so hopefully someone with deep pockets can come along and do just that. Earlier, I mentioned how Humana is not only the single Fortune 500 company with headquarters in Louisville, but it's also the only one in the entire Commonwealth of Kentucky. That was based off of a 2020 article when Yum Brands was ranked at 505, just outside of the Fortune 500 list. At times, Yum Brands Incorporated will be included in the Fortune 500 list, and at the time of uploading this video, it's ranked at 478. That company once again includes KFC, Taco Bell, Pizza Hut, and other restaurant chains, so my bad, Louisville. You have two Fortune 500 companies, not just one. Seems like Yum Brands often fluctuates in and out of the bottom of the list, however Humana is consistent as it's ranked at 52. Other companies based out of Louisville includes the Brown-Forman Corporation, and Texas Roadhouse has its headquarters here as well. UPS operates its main airlines hub out of Louisville and is also the city's top employer with 25,000 workers. In second place, it's Jefferson County Public Schools with 14,000. Norton Healthcare is in third place with just under 14,000. In fourth place, it's the Ford Motor Company with 13,000, as the company owns two massive assembly plants in Louisville. In fifth place, it's Humana with 12,000 employees. The last few streets that we've headed down haven't offered too much excitement, however, Broadway is more interesting. Broadway once competed with Main Street for being the city's business district. You'll see plenty of older high-rises off of Broadway that give the street a nice look, with the tallest being the Heyburn Building. The Heyburn Building was built in 1928 at 250 feet tall and was a part of the Magic Corner at 4th and Broadway. Upon completion, the building was the tallest in Kentucky and it held that title until 1955, when a vertical extension was made to the now demolished Commonwealth Building, which was also located at 4th and Broadway. Meanwhile, on the right is the Brown Theater, which originally opened in 1925. It's named after a successful businessman from Louisville's early days, James Graham Brown. The Brown Theater is modeled after New York's Music Box Theater. To the right is the Gene Snyder United States Courthouse, which is a historic courthouse, custom house, and post office. It was completed in 1936 and was added to the National Register of Historic Places in 1999. Ninth Street is also known as Roy Wilkins Avenue. Wilkins was a civil rights activist from St. Louis and was active from the 1930s to the 1970s. Since I've already driven the East and West Streets through downtown, now I'll drive the North and South Streets. As there isn't too much to see here for a bit, I can go ahead and talk about Kentucky bourbon. While Louisville isn't necessarily in the heart of the Bourbon Trail, it's not shy of having its own distilleries. In 1999, the Kentucky Distillers Association launched the Bourbon Trail to promote the region's bourbon whiskey. They say that bourbon is not made anywhere other than here in Kentucky, and if they claim that it's bourbon elsewhere, they're wrong. Some locals might not like hearing this, but technically you are legally allowed to make bourbon and call it bourbon bourbon anywhere in the US. There's a myth that it's trademarked to this region of Kentucky, but that's just not true. Most bourbon, however, in the US is made in this part of Kentucky. In Louisville, the most well-known distillery is the Heaven Hill Evan Williams Distillery. Elsewhere in Kentucky, you can find distilleries owned by Jim Beam, Maker's Mark, and Woodford Reserve, to name a few. If you're a bourbon-loving individual, you better put Louisville and other nearby areas of Kentucky on your bucket list of places to travel.
I've lived in Kentucky my entire life, and I know for a fact that it is only legal to make bourbon in Kentucky. I don't care who you are. No outsider is going to tell me otherwise. Go back to where you came from.
Wow, you sound like an incredibly friendly individual. Look, if you can show me where it says in writing that bourbon cannot be made in any other place other than Kentucky, then show it to me in the comments below. I know that there's a county called Bourbon County, but you can definitely make it elsewhere in the United States legally. But you're an angry person and you're gonna believe what you want, no matter what I or anyone else says. I mean, you just clearly stated, so what's the point of even explaining? I don't know. Obviously, it's tough to tell from the camera angle, but the plane that I zoom in on here is flying pretty low. This is because the Louisville International Airport is located in an unusual spot in the center of the city. It's only 4 miles south of downtown, and it has a couple of its main runways point directly towards downtown. If you ever come and visit Louisville, expect to see a ton of low-flying planes during your visit. One of the disappointments of Louisville is that I-64 dominates the riverfront. It provides for cool views as you're driving along I-64, but it ruins what could be a better riverfront area for Louisville's downtown. Sure, you can find small stretches of park area along the riverfront still, but it could be much better, and I think most would agree. Once you get east of the 64, 71, 65 interchange, that's when you start seeing the open grass area and park area along the riverfront. But over there, you're also away from downtown. While I was here originally, I missed my turn onto 6th Street, and I think this is because my GPS thought that I was on I-64. No worries though, I came back to make up for that missed turn a week later, and driving on 6th Street was important because off of it is the Muhammed Ali Center. The center opened in November of 2005 and is a museum that offers many exhibits that give you a glimpse into the life of the former larger-than-life man that called Louisville home. Now we're back onto 6th Street and we're heading south from Maine. On the right is another view of the Louisville City Hall. More about Muhammad Ali in case you didn't know much about him. Ali was born in 1942 right here in Louisville. Ali was a boxer, activist, and entertainer. Muhammad Ali also excelled in acting along with writing poetry. He was regarded as the greatest sportsman of the 20th century by Sports Illustrated, along with the greatest heavyweight boxer of all time. His success in the ring, along with his commitment for influencing black pride, is what made him a hero for many over time. To the left is the Brown Hotel, which sits right next to the Brown Theater. Just like the Brown Theater, the Brown Hotel is named after James Graham Brown, who was one of Louisville's early successful businessmen. The Brown Hotel is one of the more well-known Louisville landmarks. It was built in 1923 and was added to the National Register of Historic Places in 1978. Today, the interior of the hotel offers unique architecture that isn't offered in too many other places throughout Louisville. Inside, there is fine dining and an art gallery, among other things. Once again, with the Kentucky International Convention Center to the left, at the end of this street you'll get a nice view of the entertainment district that is known as 4th Street Live. In case you missed me talking about it earlier, 4th Street Live is an entertainment and retail complex off of 4th Street between Liberty and Muhammad Ali Boulevard and opened to the public in June of 2004. The strategy was to attract more entertainment options for downtown Louisville. Vehicle traffic is closed off to the district. Now back on 4th Street, you'll continue to see some nice places to spend some time. On the left ahead is the Louisville Escape Room. On the left, you'll see the Palace Theater, known as the Louisville Palace, and it has a seating capacity of 2,800 people. The theater was opened in 1928. Directly past the Louisville Palace is the Ohio Theater, which opened in 1941. Most cities the size of Louisville or bigger have their main attractions either in or near downtown. Louisville is odd in that way, as most of the major things to go do and see in Louisville are outside of downtown. Most people from around the country only go to Louisville to see the Kentucky Derby, as it's on many people's bucket lists, outside of the Muhammed Ali attractions of course, or the Louisville Slugger Museum maybe. The Kentucky Derby is held at the famous Churchill Downs, and to see where that is in Louisville, make sure to stay tuned to my future uploads. Other main spots includes the Kentucky Expo Center, which holds many of the region's large events and trade shows. The Kentucky State Fair is also held there. Right next to the Expo Center, you have Kentucky Kingdom and Hurricane Bay, which is a popular amusement park. The University of Louisville is also located in the same area, and all of that is about 4 to 5 miles south of town in very close proximity to the Louisville International Airport. Last but not least, I wanted to drive over this bridge and back. This is the George Rogers Clark Memorial Bridge, or the 2nd Street Bridge, or the US 31 Bridge, or the Free Bridge, as recently I-65 was reconstructed over the Ohio River. When the I-65 bridge was reconstructed, it now costs money to go across it, as electronic tolls have been installed on the roadway. If you want to cross the Ohio River without paying a toll in Louisville, you have to go several miles west to the Sherman-Minton Bridge along I-64, or exit the freeway and use this one. The George Rogers Clark Memorial Bridge was first opened in 1929 and is the only non-interstate highway bridge in Louisville over the Ohio River. One cool moment in history on this bridge is that in 1960, Muhammad Ali threw his gold medal from the 1960 Rome Olympics into the Ohio River while standing on the bridge. In 1984, the bridge was placed on the National Register of Historic Places. Along each side of the bridge is a pedestrian sidewalk. Until 2014, it was the only bridge to cross the Ohio River in Louisville that was pedestrian-friendly. The bridge is also used as ground zero for the annual Thunder over Louisville fireworks show. In this video, you saw downtown Louisville, Kentucky, which is the Commonwealth's largest city. Muhammad Ali is a legend not only in this country, but especially in this city, as Louisville is his hometown. Bourbon is big here too, as in town, you have several popular local distilleries, while the more well-known national distilleries can be found south and east of Louisville along what is known as the Bourbon Trail. Sports are big here too, with the University of Louisville and the Kentucky Wildcats being one of the biggest college basketball rivalries in the country. You also have the Louisville Slugger baseball bats that the town is known for. I do end the video here. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to drop a like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, as doing all of those things helps these videos destroy the monster that is the YouTube algorithm. Also make sure to hit that notification bell so that you can be notified every time that I upload a new video. If you enjoyed this video, you might enjoy checking out some of the featured playlists on this channel. Videos with amazing insights on other places like what you saw here can be found in my Louisville playlist, my USA medium-sized cities playlist, or in my Ohio River Cities playlist. Last but not least, if you can't get enough of me on here, you can always go follow me on my other social media accounts, and those links are below. We'll see you next time. Peace!